I'm not counting anyone out. This is the AFC North, man. VAR knows about this. I was able to play in it. Like, you don't count any of these teams out at this juncture in the season, Jonas, because it is a physical brand of football. It's defense. It's running the football. It's bad weather games you got to fight through. I'm not counting anyone out right now. I'll put it that way.
Well, and for what it's worth, if you need some relief until Joe Burrow gets back, or for the rest of the season for what's going on with Deshaun Watson and DTR doesn't pull it together, just bring in RG3.
Yeah.
I think that's going to keep one of those two Ohio AFC North teams alive to be able to be in the playoff running while Joe Burrow gets healthy, or just for the entire season so DTR can learn what it's like to be a pro and do well in NFL.
Yeah.
That's what I think my conclusion is on what's going on in the AFC North. Outside of those Ohio teams, Baltimore, man, they have a scare too with their tight end. They're going to have to deal with that. And Lamar Jackson seems to be getting banged up a little bit. One observation I had watching the games lately is that they're eventually going to ban tackling. There's a style of tackling developing where they drop to their and they're bending their ankles. There's you're seeing more and more guys get their ankles injured because it's almost like how the collaring tackle has taken place. It almost looks exactly the same, except they're wrapping around their waist.
Didn't they look at that this offseason? I think they did. That they were talking about banning it this past offseason. And
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you. Here's the problem: is how do you ask defenders to in some cases, because the game's gotten more spread out, you're asking guys to make plays in space. I don't know how you're gonna be able to outlaw any type of tackle. Especially if the game's on the line, guy's just trying to make a play, and then he's got to tackle the guy in a certain manner. I don't know. I hate all the rule changes for this sort of thing. I understand when you talk about a horse collar tackle, there's an element of, and there's a portion of players that would literally go to look to grab it because it gives them an advantage as far as their grip.
I loved it.
But in this case, I don't know that Logan Wilson is intentionally doing it. Right? He was the player involved in both plays, the hit on Mark Andrews and obviously the play on Lamar Jackson. I mean, I would think it'd be hard. I mean, I didn't play defense, right? I didn't play in the NFL. So, LaVar, tell me this much. If you got to tackle Lamar Jackson in open space, I assume you're trying to get him down by any means necessary. You're not looking at it and saying, well, I'm going to tackle him this specific way unless you get a perfect shot on him, which I don't know that was the case last
I don't
night.
think you think about that either. I just think that you're trying to get to the ball carrier, and you want, for me, I'm a shoulder targeter. I target the shoulder, and I feel like if I can get my eyes to the shoulder of the ball carrier, then I won't miss, because that means that the ball carrier has to clear my shoulders if I have them centered with my eyes. So if I could get my eyes onto your shoulder, then I'm immediately wrapping you, and once I wrap you, then whatever happens from there is what happens from there. It's like you're saying, I'm going to drive my legs and shorten my feet, my steps to try to get you down and take you off balance. But if you're hitting a Ricky Dudley, a name from the past, an Ohio State 6'8"
big tight end,
played in the league,
played basketball.
Right? If you're going to hit a Jerome Bettis, or if you're going to hit those types of big body guys that are big and strong, if you're going to hit a Lorenzo Neal that's short and squatty, a Sam Gash, if you're going to hit those type of guys, once you make contact with them, there's no telling what your body is going to feel, because you're sending a shock wave through their body and yours. So sometimes you're just holding on, and it's get them down by any means necessary. And you're not, like you said, I'm not thinking about, is my head too high? Is my head too low? Oh, should I just try to slam them down, or should I wrap them no, it's I'm swinging my body, I'm using my momentum, I'm trying to get them down the best way that I possibly can. Because if you're thinking too much, you're going to get knocked out yourself. You're going to get ran over. You're going to get plowed.
I was going to say, dude, if you're trying to tackle Lamar Jackson in the open field, I would think you'd be holding on to your jock strap like, oh, man, I don't want to get juked out. Like, I mean, seriously, like, he's made some people look silly. So silly. Like, that would be I'd be like, oh, I don't want to be on a highlight reel, you know? Like, I'm not going to, this dude could hurdle me. He could juke me. He could pull a spin move. He could stiff. Like, there's 1,000 things Lamar Jackson can do to abuse you in open space. I would be like, I mean, because look, everyone in the league's got like an ego, got some presence about them. It's like they don't want to look bad on film. Like they don't want to be on someone's highlight tape. I'll never forget. I'm pretty sure it was when we were at the Denver Broncos, and Percy Harvin, when he was playing for the Minnesota Vikings, caught the ball in open space. And one of my boys, who was a backup safety, he got in the game, and he was like in open space. Like, it's the last place anyone in the NFL wants to be, let alone a guy who's, a backup safety, probably gonna, he plays a lot of special teams too. Like, he's in that position where it's like, oh my God, like, can I just get a hand on him? And I remember, like, he literally, like, I think he got Percy's leg or like grabbed his leg at one point and almost made the tackle, but like he ended up breaking and going in the end zone for a touchdown. But like those moments, it has to be awful as a defender in the league on a national stage like that, and that's your job. Unfortunately, like
it is. It's a weird feeling. So, it's one of the weirdest feelings when you get a guy that can make you miss in phone booths, and he has an open field on you. It is a very, very nerve-wracking feeling. You feel all alone, man. It's a very lonely feeling. And a lot of times it don't end well.
Tell me if you think, after hearing this, because this is from a month ago, and this was sort of thrown out, but I think it got lost in the mix of all the other storylines going on in the NFL. Just in reading this to you, tell me whether or not you believe that the hip drop tackle is going to be around next year in the league. This is from Jeff Miller, the NFL executive. He said that the hip drop tackle increases risk of injury by 25 times the rate of a standard tackle. Quote, it's an unforgiving behavior and one that we need to try to define and get out of the game. To quantify it for you, we see an injury more or less every week in the regular season on the hip drop. That tells me it's over.
The hip drop.
Yes, it's done.
The hip drop.
They're dropping the hip drop.
I never knew it was called the hip drop.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you another one.
Yeah.
There's another one, though. The next one is and this is interesting because this was adopted by all these experts looking at rugby and Aussie rules football is the gator roll. The gator roll is just as bad as the hip drop.
Let me see your gator roll.
It's just as bad. Yeah.
Hey,
so at some point,
can you describe to me the gator roll? Because I'm picturing Jonas doing it, and I know that's not what I'm looking for.
Let me see your gator roll.
You hit him. You hit the person. You make contact. You wrap them, and then you kind of like roll your body, like you sling them.
That's like how they teach it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You sling them, and you kind of like in a gator roll tackle. Just like in that hip drop tackle, the runner can get his ankles and his feet caught in the grass, and it gets stuck while you're rolling them, and you get turned ankles or broken ankles or jacked up knees. Like it's kind of any type of movement. Like in the gator roll or a hip drop. A hip drop tackle. I mean, you're putting that ball carrier at risk. They're in danger almost the same exact way as a horse collar tackle. It's almost the same thing other than the fact that in a horse collar, you're pulling the person backwards and landing on their legs versus tackling them and going with the momentum of the movement.